A long time ago in the beautiful city of Paris there was a rich merchant who had 3 daughters, Lulu, Fifi, and Bella. Lulu and Fifi were what are called rich girls, frivolous, capricious, spenders. However, Bella was serene, simple, and above all very human. She always treated the servants and people of lower social status with kindness. Bella liked reading a lot. She spent hours and hours reading books of poetry, adventures, or romances. Her relationship with her sisters was not so to speak good, because being so different, Lulu and Fifi laughed at how simple and rampant they considered Bella. For her part, Bella ignored the superficial opinion that her sisters had of life and relationships between people. Bella enjoyed talking with the baker or the greengrocer in the market, listening to their stories, tales, and anecdotes. She learned a lot from the way humble people live and enjoy life with much less than what she and her sisters had at home. The father traveled a lot. He went to the ports to see how and in what conditions the goods he imported had arrived. Then he had long meetings with the buyers of his goods, and finally he returned home with the gifts that his daughters had asked for: dresses, jewelry, or hats for Lulu and Fifi, and a book for Bella. Sometimes for Bella she would bring some object from foreign lands through which the ships in which she imported her merchandise traveled, and so Bella had a corner of items from distant lands: a puppet with a very long nose brought from Italy, a dragon from distant China, a paper crane made in Japan with something called origami, and several other things with Bella mentally traveled to those strange and remote lands. It happened that one day the father returned home from one of her trips very sad and sorry for her. He came without gifts and very despondent. A terrible misfortune had occurred. The ship in which the merchandise had come had disappeared in a sea storm, and nobody knew the whereabouts of the ship, the merchandise, or the crew. Since there was no goods to sell, she suddenly found herself in the most absolute misery. She had some savings, but they were not enough to pay those who had lent her the money to import them. In such a situation, she soon seized everything she had to pay those who owed money. She had no choice but to move to the countryside to live with her 3 daughters. Lulu and Fifi weren't getting used to the inconveniences of her new situation one bit. There were no servants to clean, wash, or cook, so they had to do everything related to maintaining a home. It goes without saying that the one who really made an effort to run the house as well as possible was Bella, that although she wasn't used to those chores either, she did everything possible to reconcile the new life that they now had to live. One day the father received news that made everyone happy. The ship lost in the storm had appeared in a port with all the goods in good condition. His hardships were over. Hastily he put on the best shirt, a coat, a hat, and riding the horse he said goodbye to his 3 daughters. Lulu asked for an ivory cameo. Fifi a hat that was the latest fashion in Paris. Content and happy, the father galloped towards the ports. Lo and behold, he was surprised by a summer storm with great wind and a terrible downpour. The father, wandering the way, got lost on the route to the ports and ended up in strange lands, with a lot of bushes, brambles, and paths along which he noticed no one had passed for a long time. In the distance he spotted a huge palace. He headed towards it to dry off and take shelter from the bad weather. Arriving at the gates of the palace he saw it dilapidated and neglected. The windows were missing glass, the weeds grew at their ease, the fountains were full of leaves. He was afraid, but still he knocked on the door and it opened as if by enchantment. He entered the interior of the immense reception room and oh, surprise! It was clean and tidy, the fireplace was lit and everything seemed very well cared for. Is there someone?" he asked. "Hello? I got lost, sorry to come in, I would like to take shelter from inclement weather, hello?" No one answered his questions. "I'll just warm myself a little in the heat of the fire, I'll dry my clothes, I hope I don't disturb you." Silence was the answer. Approaching the fire in the fireplace he saw a table laden with food and pitchers of water and wine. He got a little warm waiting for someone to come talk to him, but no one approached him. Very surprised at everything that was happening to him, he approached the table and looking everywhere in case they were spying on him, he sat down to eat the food that was there waiting for you. He ate and satisfied hunger and thirst. He looked around again to see if any servant saw. He started to collect the food, but everything was as silent and empty as when he entered. He walked through the room and was able to verify how rich and splendid the person who owned such a palace must have been. He did not fully understand how shocking the exterior was, ugly, dilapidated and abandoned, and then inside it was so well cared for, clean and neat. Without realizing it, with a full belly and how cozy the warmth of the room was, he fell asleep sitting in one of the soft armchairs. When he woke up he was a bit stunned to find himself in that place. The table had been cleared, and everything was sparkling clean. The fire in the fireplace was still burning. "Hello?" he asked again. Thank you very much for your kindness. I would like to thank you in person for so much kindness that you have had with me." No one answered his words, however, he sensed that they were watching him. Taking his hat and cloak from him, she headed for the door. "Thank you, kind people, thank you very much for your hospitality," he said, and left the room with a little bewilderment at the silence that surrounded him. The horse was also dry and brushed, you could see that it had been cared for and fed. Going to ride, he saw a rose bush with some beautiful roses, large and fragrant. Remembering Bella's request, he went over and cut one of those flowers. No sooner had he done this than he heard a terrible roar behind him, and suddenly there appeared before him a being much larger than himself, corpulent and with a horrible face. "My hospitality isn't enough for you, but on top of that you steal from me." I, stammered the father. No. You're like everyone," the being growled. "You only know how to take advantage of the kindness of those around you." "Please, my lord, do not be angry with me. I have been imprudent enough to cut a rose for my daughter Bella. It is just a rose." Your daughter? Are you lying? Like everyone else, you're terrified to see me. I've taken care of you, I've fed you, and that's how you pay me? Lying to me." The horrible being grabbed the father in suspense and took him to the dungeons to lock him up for his insult. "Mercy," begged the man, "please forgive me for my crime. What will happen to my daughters if you lock me up?" The beast looked at him and, giving him a mirror, said, "Show me your daughters. This is a magic mirror that will show you what you want to see." The man took the mirror, and instantly his 3 daughters were reflected, Fifi and Lulu grooming each other and Bella reading a book. "It's okay," said the beast, "I give you permission to go say goodbye to them for the last time and leave everything arranged so that they don't lack anything, but you will come back, and if you don't I will go looking for you and I will destroy your entire house." The man riding his horse galloped away from that strange place in a hurry. Arriving at his house, she told her daughters the terrible events that had happened to her. "Don't come back," Fifi said. "We will call the guards to defend us from that being," Lulu said. Bella was silent when she saw her family's desperation. "Everything was my fault," she thought. "If she hadn't asked for the rose, this wouldn't have happened." When night came and while everyone was sleeping, she saddled the horse and headed for the monster's castle. "Take me to the beast's palace," he said to the horse, and the horse did. When he arrived at the palace, the beast came out to meet him with an angry face. "What are you doing here?" he asked. "I am Bella, the daughter of the man you had arrested. I come in his place. I will pay for his crime." "What?" the being roared. "Who committed the crime was him, not you." "Yes," Bella replied, "but it was my fault. If she hadn't asked him for the rose, none of this would have happened." "But," the beast spoke, "you will stay here forever, with me. You will see my horrible face day after day. Are you willing to do that?" Bella looked at him, and mustering all her courage, she nodded. The beast took Beauty to a beautiful room overlooking the back gardens of the palace. Day after day, Bella went down and walked through all the corners of the palace. The beast at first observed her from afar. He was afraid that Bella would feel disgust at his appearance, but as the days passed, little by little he approached her and in his inside began to fall in love. Bella, on the other hand, appreciated the kindness of the beast, and as the days went by, she got used to his brusqueness and she began to see something more inside that horrible looking being, but of great kindness. The beast showed her all the nooks and crannies of the castle, the hidden places in the gardens, the corners of the palace from where she could see beautiful sunrises or incredible sunsets. Beauty and Beast had long conversations about books, tales, stories, and legends that sometimes she told and other times he. Curious to know the story of Beast, she asked him one day. "And tell me, how is it that someone like you, cultured, and smart, wise, you have become such a lonely being, left behind by everyone and horrible," said Beast. Bella fell silent. She didn't want to offend him. "It happened," Beast began to speak, "that many years ago, when I was very young, the Count, my father, died, and although I was not old enough to govern, I had to take his place. The Count, my father, had an aristocratic lady as wife, very greedy, and when the Count died he wanted to take his place, but, as I told you, I was his heir and it was up to me to be the new Count. He concocted 1,000 forms and conjurations to govern her in my place, but everything was impossible for him. At her insistence and ambition, the advisors decided to expel her forever from the Count's domain, but visiting a great sorceress, she formulated a terrible curse on all of us who were in the county. At that time she turned all the inhabitants into stone statues. That they would only leave their state to cook, clean or defend the palace if necessary. That is why you can see everything always ready, Bella. If anyone dared to move away from the county they would immediately turn to dust, and to me. He cursed me with this horrible appearance so that no one would come near me without being repulsed by this horrible image. Beast did not want to tell Bella that in truth the whole curse would be undone if Beast managed to find love, that is, if someone fell in love with him despite his horrible image. He did not tell her because he was in love with Bella, and he did not want that she felt sorry for him, but that she really loved him like any couple loves their spouse. Bella was surprised by Beast's story and not knowing how she began to feel some affection in her heart, but what she felt was love? Compassion? For a few weeks Belle and Beast kept sharing stories, walks and beautiful sunsets, and little by little Beast's love grew so much that she couldn't imagine life without Belle by her side. Bella had brought happiness and companionship to her lonely existence. The palace had changed so much that it didn't seem to be the same since Bella's arrival. On several occasions Beast wanted to declare his love for her, but he did not dare and ate his words for fear that she would reject him and break that beautiful relationship they had. He couldn't imagine his life without Bella's existence by his side. He couldn't go back to the terrible loneliness and abandonment in which his life was before Bella's arrival. For her part, Bella discovered a wonderful being inside that horrible face that, although deformed and immensely hairy, seemed to find someone beautiful with wonderful feelings and too human to continue calling him Beast, although she was not sure she felt love for that being, either. She wondered if it was pity, and out of pity you can't live with someone. One day Bella asked him to allow to see her family through the magic mirror. Beast hesitated, but he brought the mirror, and when Bella stood in front of it she observed her family crying and worried about her because the father she was sick. Bella was very sad to see her father in her bed, and she asked Beast to let her go see her family. Beast accepted Beauty's request and asked her to come back to his side, although inside she felt that once she was away from the palace she would forget him. She would meet some handsome young man and stay away from him. Of course, he would not carry out the threat made to his father, and when he saw her leave mounted on the horse, his heart was broken, thinking that he was losing the person who had made him feel like a human being and not the horrible beast that he had become by the spell. When Bella arrived at her home, her sisters hugged her with great joy. "We thought we would never see you again," they told her. "Father became ill with grief knowing that you had given yourself to that horrible being. He does not want to eat. Sadness consumes him." "Did you run away? Where is father?" Bella asked. They took her to her room, and there Bella spoke with her father and asked he to recover, that she had returned. Indeed, little by little the father recovered. He ate, tried to walk, and joy returned to his body when she saw Bella by his side. Bella spent long periods of time sitting with her sisters and her father at the doors of the little house. She told them everything she had lived in the castle, the places she had discovered, the curse of Beast, the sunsets from the terraces of the palace, and the walks. What did he do with his captor? How horrible, her sisters told her. I couldn't even touch such a frightening being. But, no, within that horrible image there is a person, someone who laughs, and cries, and has feelings, sorrows, longings, desires, Bella replied. Her father looked at her without saying anything. He knew her daughter and knew that she was falling in love with that being. "Daughter," he told her, "don't forget that it is a beast. You cannot consider it a human being. Maybe because of your kindness it behaves differently, but it will not stop being a beast. A bear will always be a bear no matter how much care you give it, and if it lacks food it will not. He will hesitate to eat you. His bear soul will be superior to the care you have given him." Beauty thought about these things when she tucked herself up in bed at night, but at the same time she remembered how gentle, kind, and pleasant Beast was with her, everything that had changed since her arrival at the palace. But what were her feelings for Beast? Love? Compassion? Piety? She was just a good friend. Without realizing it, the days passed as the minutes pass, in a flash. The return to Bella's home had returned the joy to that little country house. Her father was recovering little by little, and her sisters were still flirtatious and presumptuous as always, although much more human with their peers. In the Beast Castle, little by little he languished in his sadness. On the one hand, he regretted having let Bella go. If he had kept her by his side, perhaps, she could have fallen in love with him, loved him even if it was only a little. But on the other, he understood that you can't force anyone to love you, or to be your friend, or even to enjoy being by your side. How could he keep Bella by his side if she didn't love him? How not to allow her to be happy? I loved Bella. When you love someone, you can't put chains on them so they don't leave your side. That's not love. Love is just that. Love, feeling happy with someone by your side, but not by force but by your own will. Beast spent hours and hours increasing his sadness and thinking about the loneliness he had and would always have because of that frightening appearance to which he had been condemned. The thought and its strength are as solid as the foundations of that palace in which he lived. Little by little, that sadness he felt and his deep sorrow in the face of loneliness and abandonment were making a dent in his capacity to resist the evil that distressed him. He didn't eat, he didn't walk, he hardly went out, and his health weakened day in and day out. He wandered through the corridors of the palace, he sat on the stairs, and there he spent hours thinking about his misfortune, longing for Bella, wishing he hadn't given her the magic mirror so that he could at least see her face even from time to time, and so he was wasting away. In the country house everything was happiness and joy. Father had fully recovered his health. Bella and her sisters chatted about projects, boyfriends who hung around the house in the afternoons, and even one of them who dared to bring a serenade one afternoon of summer, making everyone happy. Bella, absorbed in all that revelry and rejoicing, had forgotten her promise to return to the castle. Every night she said to herself, "As soon as Father gets completely better, I'm leaving. When Lulu decides for this or that suitor, I'm leaving. The same day that Fifi leaves Case, I will go to the palace with Beast." Weeks passed like this. Bella had even forgotten that she brought the magic mirror with her. One night, wrapped in her thoughts, she remembered the mirror and, taking it out of her wrapper, asked to show Beast. Her joy turned into horror when she saw Beast, languid and subdued, sitting on the sofa in that immense room with a gaunt face and profoundly thin. Beast was wasting away. At that precise moment she understood that what she truly felt for Beast was not pity, nor compassion, nor the affection of a friend. It was true love. Her heart tore at the thought that she would not be able to see Beast again. She went downstairs and into the stable, saddled her horse, and hurried off in search of Beast. In the palace, Beast consumed his last moments. A single word came out of his mouth over and over again: Bella. It came out soft, as if he had no strength to let the name of his beloved escape. He closed his eyes, waiting for him to finally let himself go to the other world, where the spell would no longer be present and he would be the prince he always was. The sounds around him faded little by little, and he saw a distant light and a voice that called him, "Beast, Beast." Collecting the few, he half opened his eyes and saw Bella at his side, crying over him, taking him in her arms. "No," the voice said, "don't leave me. Please, I love you. You can't leave me now. I want to be with you always." As if it were a miraculous medicine, those words filled his emaciated body with vigor, and opening his eyes completely, he verified that he was not dead, that he was not dreaming, that indeed Bella was by his side, hugging him and giving him love. She cried in anguish, Bella, it's you." She stammered, "How is it possible? Oh Beast, please, don't leave me. I love you. I didn't understand until now." But Bella," he told her, "look at me. You've seen my appearance, horrible." She looked at him, smiling, and kissed him with all her might. I love you, and that's what matters." At that moment something like a ray of light illuminated the room, landed on Beast, and that horrible face disappeared, and in its place, where there were huge fangs, teeth appeared. Where there were long ears, 2 human ears appeared. The hair that flooded the face, he disappeared, leaving a beard of several days, and before Bella's astonished eyes, Beast transformed into a man. What happened?" said Bella, stunned. The curse has been broken," he shouted. "Oh Bella, your love has returned me to my real appearance." He hugged her tightly, and this time it was he who kissed her passionately. Bella was doubtful of everything she had just witnessed. She looked into his eyes, and she saw those eyes and tenderness that she had discovered in Beast. Yes, it was him. They hugged and had a good time, looking at each other, laughing and caressing each other. As the days passed, Felipe, because that was his real name and not Beast, recovered and soon became strong and fully recovered his health. Bella felt suspicious of being able to love that young man after having loved what had been before, a beast, but with the passing of the days, the talks, the walks, she understood that under that appearance of a beast he had always hidden Felipe, the one who now hugged her, accompanied her and made her laugh and dream. They lived happily and everyone who knew the story spread it around the world, and they always ended the story of Beauty and the Beast by saying, "Only love is capable of breaking the most horrendous spells."